YouTube, welcome to some more theory videos, well, lore and theory videos. We got the lovely Ashikai to watch today, and we're going to be starting with the 2.0 Visions and Elemental Energy, World Structure Theory Part 1. Let's jump right into this, shall we?
Hey. Hey, you.
Scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah, you. I got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
What in the heck are visions? Are you...
Well, I was hoping you were going to tell me.
Are you really telling me that this guy right here just straight up one day was minding his own business and then blammo, some crystal rock thing went poof right into his hand and now he's all like magical?
She's got a point.
That's messed up. And does anyone even know what these things are for? Like, sure, they grant powers, but like, why? Isn't that super sus?
What? Well, wait, it is. Why have we... I've never thought about it.
Is it just me? Am I the only one who thinks this?
No.
Okay, maybe we should just go over everything we know about visions so far. Maybe that'll give us some clarity.
Okay.
Maybe we can learn something new. Who knows? It's an adventure every single day, but... before we delve into this investigation, a quick reminder that this is a theory video.
True.
I do my best to make sure that everything is as accurate as possible at all times, but I do make mistakes.
Fair.
All corrections, updates, and notes for this video will be in a pinned comment below, so please make sure to check that comment for the latest and greatest information possible. Also, we'll be going over a lot of sciencey things in this video, and I will be oversimplifying some of the concepts in the interest of keeping things quick and painless, so if you're a physicist or chemist,
well,
I apologize in advance for your inevitable hair loss.
Well, luckily for you, I'm very, very dumb, so oversimplification is actually really, really good. Also, is Yanfei the character that she uses to tell these theories?
After you rip it all out. But, for the rest of you, you'll be fine.
Pog.
Disclaimer over. Let's delve into this investigation.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. I love Yanfei. Part 1, what we know so far.
Zhongli and Venti both describe visions as magical foci, granted to a select few at a desperate and fateful moment in their life by the gods themselves. As of version 2.0, we know that visions are somehow manifestations of their users, or their allogenes, will or ambition. And losing it can have negative emotional and mental consequences.
True.
For this reason, visions are commonly seen as an extension of oneself. You use a vision to manipulate the elements in the same way that you use your eye to see or your lungs to breathe. It's like a crystal organ that you carry around on the outside.
Oh god, that's so
visions
creepy.
Themselves appear to be composed of 3 parts. A gem, an element, and a casing.
Yes.
We'll be ignoring the casing for now because it's not clear at the moment if casings accompany visions when they manifest or if they are man-made. Trust me, I could make a whole video just on vision casings.
That's interesting. I always assumed they were man-made because they're different per region, but that is very interesting.
But you might be wondering why I've split a vision's element from its gem. There's no real basis for this other than my own speculation, but to me, visions look and function quite a lot like the crystal cores that we harvest from crystal flies.
What?
So I've been, thinking of cores as a container, and the element as the force that powers or fills it.
Wait, because the crystal fly cores are also containers, in a sense, for the resin.
We can kind of see this illustrated through the behavior of masterless visions. When a vision bearer dies, their vision doesn't disappear. Instead, it merely loses its glow, or its element, and leaves behind an empty shell. These masterless visions can be reignited under extremely specific circumstances that no one really knows the details of. Ningguang is an example of an allogene who possesses a reawakened masterless vision. There is a possibility that a masterless vision could change elements upon reawakening, or that a masterless vision could be forcibly reignited and reawakened as, say, something like a delusion.
Whoa,
Maybe?
God, okay. Well, also, didn't Kazuha's friend have a vision that was, I guess, reignited, technically through Kazuha?
But most likely as a different element. Realistically, I see 2 possible cases for reawakening a vision. Either 1, a new user will have to possess the exact ambition, drive, or wish of the original allogene,
that makes sense,
which would result in exactly the same element for the vision, or 2, a new user will have to be in possession of a masterless vision at the moment when their own ambition hits its peak.
That also makes sense.
Thereby become a different element entirely. The latter just feels more likely to me, so that's what I'm rolling with, but both could be true. So
they do both make sense because Kazuha and his friend both had the same ambition, but also I feel like Kazuha's ambition definitely peaked in that cutscene where the other vision was reawakened. Both of those make really good sense.
Just keep this assumption in mind as we go forward. Anyway, back to the facts. Any vision bearer or allogene is considered a candidate for godhood, and upon death may ascend to the sky island of Celestia like the great heroes Vanessa or Guha. As an added bonus, visions also allow their bearers to manipulate one element freely. It's commonly assumed by the general populace that only with the aid of visions can one manipulate the elements, and even then, manipulating multiple elements is, as far as we know, rather unheard of. On the surface, visions are like gifts given to the chosen ones, appearing out of nowhere and granting their bearers great elemental power.
I try and think, like, why are we, like, the only person that we know that can utilize multiple elements, apart from, I guess Child can as well, but he has a vision to do it, whereas we don't. It's so weird, dude. I want to find that out.
But there's a lot to suggest that visions aren't exactly what they seem to be.
True. I agree with that. But what
I see. Using a vision harnesses elements. As far as the common folk are concerned, this is no small feat. So, back then, they were aware of this as they stood beside me.
Zhongli implies here that the primary purpose of visions is not to gain elemental powers, even though that's what the general populace seems to believe. In fact, he seems surprised that they function in this way at all.
Yes.
This is very weird, considering he's an Archon and supposedly responsible for handing out visions himself, don't you think? So if visions aren't meant to give people elemental powers, then what are they for?
Maybe it's so the people who granted the vision can watch through them. Maybe the visions are just spyglasses and we're being watched by everybody up top and we're just pawns in a game. Maybe we're all Sims.
I think the most common theory is that visions are just markers of those who can become gods, but why does Celestia have need for gods? It just feels really weird to me. Especially since Venti calls visions primitive tools.
Ooh, wait, then it could be that they're watching through the visions.
Why give primitive tools to humans as a
no, never mind. Primitive just means old, right? Never mind. I thought it meant, like, predatory, like being able to spy on people.
Or a potential godhood. And even then, if you consider Adepti to be a type of god, which it should be since Zhongli is one, then Zhao should also be considered a god.
He is.
What need would a god have of a vision?
God of emo.
Are there different delineations of gods? At what point are you no longer eligible for being gifted a vision? And what does ascension really entail? But besides the god theory, I haven't really seen any other potential explanations.
Dude, Kaya's so hot.
Regarding the purpose of visions, not even from the characters in game. Why does no one question the reason visions exist? They're literally indestructible gemstones that people are forced into having that can really mess you up in the head when forcibly taken away.
It is weird.
Are they really a gift from the gods?
Get Kaya to tell us.
Do they have another purpose entirely?
Spyglass. I will go down with this ship.
Abrupt segue, I know. But thinking about the purpose of visions got me thinking about divine law, which made me think about the natural law, which obviously makes me think of the laws of science. So obviously,
Ashikai, Jesus.
I had to try to make visions work with the supposed science of Tevat. Of which we know very little. But I will be making an attempt. So, proceeding with my previous assumption that the vision's core and element are two separate things, we need to ask the question, what is elemental energy? Because it sure as hell seems to be part of Tevat's natural law. And elemental energy also appears to be quite different from normal matter. For example, water is not the same thing as hydro. Confused?
Ooh.
Well, here's the description of a basic hydro slime.
Okay.
A small monster created by the sedimentation of hydro dispersed throughout nature. Legend has it that some people would use the hydro slimes as an emergency water source, packing them in preparation for travels through dry regions or deep domains. but due to the high concentration of hydro within these slimes, direct ingestion is, in fact, harmful to the human body.
Wait, I'm just imagining someone going through, like, a fucking Subaru desert or something with a bucket of hydro slimes. Just like using them as like a water skin.
Notice that there's a very distinct choice of words there. Hydro slimes were used as an...
Yo, I'm sorry, did you just see Yanfei's attack just home around that fucking slime?
Notice that there's a very distinct choice of words there. Hydro slimes were...
Jesus! Yanfei is great, dude.
...used as an emergency water source. But their high concentration of hydro makes them toxic. As per Chongyun's Hangout event, we also know that the concentration of elemental energy within slimes actually drops off sharply soon after the slimes are killed. This makes slime condensate generally safe to ingest, kind of, while slime secretions are slightly purified yet can still cause skin irritation.
Wait, yeah, didn't Paimon gift Ning Wang a slime dish? Was she trying to kill...
So the elemental energy does linger for a while post-mortem, but the toxicity decreases over time.
Oh, God.
We also know that not all rocks contain geo-energy. We learned this from Yanfei during our time together running errands for Madame Ping so she could make our teapot.
True.
Yanfei tells us straight up that...
Wait, why did she say teapot like that? Why does that sound so sus? Our teapot.
Madame Ping so she could make our teapot.
Why?
Yanfei tells us straight up that Smaragdus Nephrite contains no elemental energy at all, while Smaragdus Jadeite contains an enormous amount, which is why we need the Jadeite specifically to build our teapot.
Okay.
But why the disparity? I mean, they're both rocks. Rocks are geo, right? Probably not.
What?
We know from Ishtaha that rocks can all retain memories, but certain rocks can retain memories better than other rocks. We can perhaps extend this statement to include elemental energy.
Does that mean you could technically have an actual pet rock?
Some rocks just conduct elemental energy better than others, and some might even store it better than others. Smaragdus Jadeite just so happens to be a type of rock that can conduct a ton of elemental energy, while Smaragdus Nephrite has no such ability. And like with the hydro slimes, geoenergy also appears to be toxic because Smaragdus Jadeite can't be worn on one's body without negative effects.
Yeah, or cursed.
We learned that from Baizu, and he's a doctor, so we should, like, you know, listen to him.
Trust me, I'm a doctor. Gives me hella doctor vibes. It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period, best case scenario, they fall ill. Worst case scenario, they'll suffer great changes in personality and their illness will only get worse. Well, Smoge, don't wear it then.
Wait a second, Doc. Are you telling me that if I have a vision, I can wear dangerous gemstones? Do visions make one immune to the toxic effects of elemental energy? And if they do, why is elemental energy toxic to begin with? Isn't it part of the natural world of Tevat? I mean, the way Baizu describes the Smaragdus Jadeite, it's almost like it's radioactive. And maybe it is.
What?
Consider, if someone who doesn't have a vision has prolonged contact with an object full of elemental energy, it has negative impacts on their health.
True.
Dr. Baizu says so.
Yes.
Acute radiation sickness, or ARS,
Wait, what? Why is it cute? Cute radiation sickness?
says so. Acute radiation sickness, or ARS, comes around
Oh, acute.
after
Oh.
a person has prolonged exposure to radioactive materials.
You know, as opposed to an ugly radiation.
ARS causes symptoms like nausea, vomiting, severe headaches, loss of consciousness. And in some cases, it can have negative impacts on the psyche and cause lesions or burns to appear on the skin.
Oh, Jesus.
I wonder if this is the same effect that the slime secretions description refers to.
Wait, doesn't secretion mean poop? Slime poop?
Allogenes seem to be at least partly immune to ARS, and it might be because the vision itself is acting as a sort of shield.
Huh.
The core might act like an insulator, connected to its host through their ambitions and absorbing radiation through energy particles and allowing the host to release those particles in the form of raw elemental energy of a specified type, thus allowing the user to use elemental powers even though it might not have been the original purpose.
Jesus.
We'll touch on the whole connected through ambitions thing later through science, I promise, but just roll with me for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, this is interesting.
Consider, too, that the aforementioned hydro slimes may be made of water, but that water might contain high concentrations of a radioactive element known as hydro, which is why it's not safe to drink by non-allogenes who are immune because of their visions. We can then apply that logic to most of the elements, noting that our elemental sight may not necessarily be showing us where elements are, but instead showing us which objects contain significant concentrations of radioactive elements.
Yo, wait, that's actually interesting. Well, fuck, wait, that is interesting because it doesn't just show like water. It doesn't just show water or rocks, but it does show geo and hydro. Oh, shit, that makes sense. And yeah, it's excretion. Never mind, I got it wrong. That's really interesting. That's a very good point that I've just never thought about.
This means that elemental reactions are a result of this specific type of energy. For example, pyro and hydro, when mixed, will cause a vaporized reaction, but fire doused with water will simply result in steam. Now, obviously, elemental energy in Genshin isn't really the result of radiation, because it obviously has some more spiritual ties, what with visions being related to ambitions or wishes and maybe even fate.
True.
But I just think that elemental energy kind of behaves like radiation, so we'll kind of scrub around some of the finer details, alright?
Okay.
And regardless, I think I have enough evidence to suggest that at one point in history, Teyvat had a nuclear meltdown.
How on earth does she get the lip syncing so good? Excuse me?
Suggest that at one point in history,
Pause.
Teyvat
What?
had a nuclear meltdown
That's pretty cool.
of sorts. And from that meltdown came the creation of the Vision system.
Wow, that's actually really good. Yeah, that is cool. That's really cool.
Do you remember Dragonspine?
That just say Genshin's Fallout 76? Oh, God.
Yeah, that mountain that you went up once, looted, and then never went back to ever again. Okay, that place is actually really important. For those of you who weren't paying attention, here's a quick rundown of Dragonspine's history.
Thanks.
Dragonspine used to be a lush green paradise,
I
while the rest
obviously
of
paid
Mondstadt
attention.
was covered in blizzards.
I love Dragonspine.
Its people were very, very close with the gods, but eventually they got a little greedy grabby with the divine knowledge, which pissed off the gods, who yeeted themselves back up into the sky in an island that looks suspiciously like Celestia, so let's just call it that.
Yes.
And then they hurled the Skyfrost Nail back down onto the city at the peak of Salvindignir. The nail broke into several fragments, and one of them struck the silver leyline tree and killed it.
Oh,
The death of the leyline
Dead.
tree flung the ley lines into disarray, and suddenly the mountain was thrust into an era of ice and snow. Those who didn't die quickly near the nail's impact died a slow death in the cold.
oh no.
Killing the leyline tree messed up the ley lines in the Dragonspine region so badly that it's still frozen solid thousands of years later. Even though it's technically a part of Mondstadt, the Mondstadt treasure compasses don't work there because the leyline flow that they use to navigate are broken.
Oh,
And the area of Dragonspine itself is shrouded in sheer cold, which if you accumulate enough of, will sap your HP and eventually kill you.
yes, I'm fully aware. Yeah, I mean, Dragonspine is a wonderful place, don't get me wrong. It is beautiful, it's beautiful. The Borking, oh my God, the Borking. Mwah. Oh, you know me. You know me when it comes to the Borking, dude. The Borking is wonderful, but that fucking sheer cold, Jesus, God. Oh, God, it's such a cool addition. I love it so much.
Kind of like a nuclear fallout zone.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, it kind of sounds like leyline energy is also radioactive in the same way elemental energy is.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't here for the first albedo event thing. Is that Durin's heart or no?
Almost like they're the same thing. That
Yes.
means the destruction of the leyline tree was more or less the equivalent of a nuclear meltdown.
Oh,
And it might not
Jesus.
even be the first meltdown in Teyvat's history.
I don't think it was. The only thing that I can think of, though, is the old Mondstadt into the new Mondstadt, right? Like the thing with Venti's past?
Assuming leyline energy and elemental energy are the same thing, it might be appropriate to suggest that leyline energy is something like white light, while the elements are the delineations of color that appear when shown through a prism. So why these 7 elements? The Elemental Mastery name card has gaps in it, like some elements are missing. And we know that there are gods of more obscure things like salt, dust, and the void. So why these 7 elements?
Salt of seasoning.
What makes these elements so special? I think the answer lies in alchemy. But not Genshin's alchemy. Real alchemy.
What?
For centuries, alchemists have been searching for the secret of transmuting gold. And science in recent years has found that that's actually possible. It's not just a pipe dream. You can actually transmute lead into gold. It's a real thing, and the...
Oh, they're talking about actual gold, not the character gold? Okay, I thought they were talking about Daughter.
You can actually transmute lead into gold.
Okay.
It's a real thing, and the process of doing so is really, truly called transmutation. That's the scientific term.
Uh-huh.
I know, it's super weird. Also cool, but...
It is very cool.
There's a catch.
Oh.
Gold made through transmutation is not a stable element. Turns
Unstable
out,
gold?
Transmuted gold is radioactive.
What?
Let's talk science for a minute.
It's all coming together.
In the real world, elements are defined by how many protons their atoms have in their nuclei. Mercury has 80 protons, while gold has 79, so theoretically you only need to remove 1 proton from Mercury to get gold.
Huh? You're telling me the planet closest to the sun is almost just a planet made of gold?
This was illustrated in an experiment in 1923 when a small amount of mercury was converted to gold after zapping it with a ton of electricity.
No, don't say this. Oh, Ashikai she's gonna get a laser cannon, dude, of electricity and end up shooting Mercury somehow and making a whole planet of gold, dude.
But after a period of time, that gold reverted back into Mercury.
Ha, never mind, it's already been done.
This happened because the transmuted gold had too many neutrons and was thus radioactive. Radioactive elements are unstable by nature because their proton-neutron ratios are unbalanced, so they go into a state of radioactive decay in an effort to restore this balance and become a stable element once again.
Oh, God.
But why am I bringing this up, you might ask? Because only certain elements are transmutable, at least feasibly. It's much easier to make gold from other elements that have similar amounts of protons than elements that have a lot more or a lot less protons because of the difference in energy required to make them.
Why does Albedo look high as a kite here, dude? Why his eyes look so red? And also, is Albedo making a nuke? What's happening? My mind hurts.
And I think that might be the case for the elemental ley line energies as well. It's possible that each playable element in Genshin might represent a type of transmutable isotope that can be stabilized and converted into something that is no longer toxic or radioactive, as opposed to like an element of salt or dust.
Yo, Ashikai, I'm just saying, your Chongyun kind of chunky damage, dude. Oh my god.
As opposed to like...
Oh my god. Oh, I got some work to do.
An element of salt or dust. Or maybe these 7 elements are elements that can be converted into some type of theoretical gold. After all, gold appears to have quite a bit of relevance to the story of Genshin as a whole.
It does. It really does, especially with Rex
Not only
Lapis.
is gold the name of the alchemist responsible, at least in part, for Conria's destruction, but gold also corrupted the dragon Durin, whose corpse is littered across Dragonspine, which just feels too coincidental to me. Dainsleif's introduction card also has the following line. Chalk pursues gold in this time inopportune. The eclipse is swallowed by the crimson moon. The second half of this line is talking about the fall of Conria, and we're assuming Chalk is Albedo,
Dane,
who
what
is
the fuck?
supposedly pursuing gold in some way by the instruction of his master Daughter, since Albedo is also called the Chalk Prince. Hence, Chalk pursues gold. But Albedo is also named after the second stage of an alchemical process known as the magnum opus, which is supposed to be the recipe used in creating the Philosopher's Stone, which is, you know, this magic transmutatable stone that can make gold out of anything and probably grant immortality.
Okay.
Anyway, the magnum opus has 4 primary stages to it: Nigredo, Albedo, Rubedo, and Citrinitas. Nigredo is the earth, ash, or raw material and is represented by the color black.
Damn, okay, listen, chat, I love science stuff. I apologize for not saying too much, but I have to listen because otherwise I'm going to get so lost, but I do love chemistry stuff so
Going
much.
through a purification process, it becomes albedo, or whiteness, or chalk. From here, conventional alchemy places citrinitas next, but albedo says rubido is next, and it's represented by the color red. That puts gold as the final step of the magnum opus, at least in Genshin, since, you know, citrinitas is yellow or gold. But that makes me wonder, if something pure pursues gold, does that imply that gold needs to be purified? Or that only through purification can one create gold? Either way, the process of creating gold, radioactive or otherwise, seems pretty important.
Hold up, what the fuck did you just say, Ashikai? Oh my god, what? Jesus. Wait, this is actually solid. These theories are really interesting. Yeah, I know that the video was made in 2.0. And a lot of stuff might have been answered already at this point, but I still love hearing the theories about it. This is five-head as hell. Ashikai's clever. Holy. Part 5, visions as radiation containment vessels. Oh god, dude.
Not to abruptly switch topics or anything, but after all this musing, I would like to propose a hypothesis. Visions are a method for Celestia to neutralize leyline radiation and fallout damage from not just the Dragonspine incident, but several others throughout history. This would then imply that Celestia may have created the vision system in order to locate individuals who are capable of resonating with this toxic elemental energy in order to collect, purify, and stabilize it. But as we talked about earlier, you can only realistically transmute certain elements.
Yes.
This would explain the arbitrary 7-element system, as these 7 elements may be considered transmutable by Celestia.
Can you imagine if they put Pyro and Electro in the same vision together as elements? Be like a Tesla coil, dude.
That means Archons are likely primary reactor cores put into place in order to assure that all raw vision cores would manifest as transmutable elements that could be collected and returned to the ley line through an artificial means.
Zhongli's a reactor
That
core?
means being the statues of 7 and the teleport points. Hear me out.
Okay.
The statues of 7 and the teleport points were likely placed on key leyline junctures all around the world, artificially pumping energy in and out of the natural leyline veins like regulators. Archons would then be connected to the leyline system via the Gnosis and would overall function like a monitoring system. That would also explain why the Traveler can resonate with an elemental energy by touching a statue of 7 without the Archon being aware of it. And if we assume that alchemy as a whole taps into this leyline energy in order to transmute objects, we can extrapolate that Conria might have been using chemia, an advanced form of alchemy, to transmute something big that resulted in some kind of nuclear fallout. Celestia may have tried to destroy Conria in order to contain the meltdown or to prevent a new one from occurring. I mean, think about it. Vision wielders are immune to the negative effects of elemental radiation because visions might function as a type of shield.
Sorry, is she theory crafting or is she building a full fucking power grid for Tavat? Genuinely curious. Either way, they both fit and it's incredible. My mind is literally blown with this.
Prolonged exposure in people without visions may lead to severe mutations, corruptions, or even death. This idea is supported by essentially every monster enemy in the game, since each one is described as having been either born of leyline energy or having been twisted by it. Leyline energy may even cause humans to mutate. I mean, we know the Abyss Heralds, Lectors, and Mages are all former citizens of Conria that may have been corrupted by some unknown force. So what if that corruption was the result of over-accumulation of elemental isotopes in their body, thus turning them into monsters? What if that's the same cause of Dane's Leaf's...
Wait. Question. In the new Chasm thing, when Dane was talking about the corruption, and did he say to the Traveler, you don't have it? Is that what he said? You don't have it? Remind me? Yes? What if the it is a vision? Wait, does Dane have a vision? Dane doesn't have a vision, does he? Shit. Said that to Halfdan. He didn't have it. Oh, fuck. Okay, interesting.
Corruption, or Zhongli and Ajdaha's erosion. Are gods even affected by radiation? Even if they have a shield in the form of a gnosis, maybe the shield isn't perfect and the radiation will still leak.
But what if Dane does have a vision that we just don't know about? Oh, fuck.
Through over a long enough period of time. This theory even extends to the sky, where the false constellations made of Irminsul fruit outline the fates of man.
What now?
I mean, think about it. When those stars fall to the earth like they did during unreconciled stars, they force anyone nearby without a vision to lose consciousness. That sounds like a symptom of acute radiation sickness to me. And take a look at the Tiara of Torrents, too. It says that the elemental energies were smooth and well ordered at one point. Yet we have ley lines overflowing, erupting with monsters, and ley line disorders messing with our combat abilities and domains, and the abyss. And the broken ley lines of Dragonspine that forever shook the mountain with sheer cold. So no one ever wants to go there, because it's painful. Now I do want to address one thing from earlier. The idea that visions are connected to their allogene through said allogene's ambitions.
Okay,
and for
yeah,
that,
I like
need
this.
to clear something up.
I like this part.
Generally speaking, most of us have assumed...
I like this idea because this idea is something that's already given to you by the game. About the whole visions and ambitions and stuff. It's basically been there since the start of Inazuma at the very least. So building on that theory to think of more things to add to it is great in my opinion.
That ley lines are simply carrying the memories of all things and not elemental energy. So I recognize that saying the ley lines contain elemental energy sounds weird and contradictory, but it's actually not. See, ley lines contain both elemental energy and memories. The parametric transformer says so.
I still don't have this. Still don't have this. I owned it.
This mysterious device, discovered within the ruins, has the power to accelerate cycles and transmute material objects.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, everything is undergoing a cycle. Memories and elements surge within the ley lines.
Yeah.
But how can this be?
Don't know. Don't
Memories
have it.
and elements? Not to get all real-world sciencey again, but there is the concept of information in physics. Information is like a sort of set of instructions that help differentiate one form of matter from another. For example, if you have a bunch of carbon atoms arranged in one way, you'll have a lump of coal. But if you rearrange those carbon atoms, you'll get a diamond instead.
Okay, true.
The way these atoms are arranged is known as information. In the case of ley lines, information and memories are probably the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Information is one of those things in this universe that cannot be destroyed. In fact, with the right technology, it's possible to extract information from matter and rearrange it into its former state. For example, if you took a marble statue and smashed it to bits, you could theoretically extract enough information from the bits that were left to completely reconstruct the marble statue in its original sculpted form.
Jesus.
In this way, we can think of the elements within the ley lines to be like the elements of our periodic table, and therefore the basis of matter.
Oh my god.
Memories are the
Can you imagine if there was hundreds of elements like this? Oh my god. This is wild.
Snapshot of information that allow these elements to be arranged into a specific form, like a hydro slime. Based on this, we can also assume that the moment an allogene receives a vision...
How the fuck did Kaya get to Mount Doom? What the fuck is this, dude? Where's Frodo? Where's the ring?
Their ambition is what arranges the elemental energy into a specific form. It's like putting the right car key into the ignition. Put in the wrong one and the car won't start up. Ambitions are the key and visions are the car. Clear as mud, right?
Yeah. Part 6, the fall of man.
Let me pose one more assumption out of left field before we continue.
Okay.
I've long since hypothesized that there are more to domains than we've been led to believe.
Yes.
And I've even gone so far as to suggest that the combat area within domains are actually transmutation rooms powered by the Irminsul trees nearby. Let's assume for now that this is true. The Irminsul tree may be similar to a nuclear reactor, and the combat arena is where the transmutation occurs. Just like real transmutation, it would take a massive amount of energy over a prolonged period of time in order to create something new and stable. Given that these domains typically have surroundings that are in ruin or are otherwise desolate, we can assume that at least one of these attempts of transmutation did not end well.
Good point.
And may have even resulted in a type of nuclear meltdown. These areas may have been sealed off or put into quarantine, if you will. The domain doors prevent any additional fallout from spilling over, while only people who are properly suited, like allogenes, will cross that threshold and risk exposure to toxic levels of elemental radiation.
This makes almost too much sense.
And if my assumptions from my video on domains is correct, then the areas we see within domains may be in roughly the same general area as Conria. Then it's also possible that Conria at one point tried to perform transmutation on a massive scale and failed, resulting in serious fallout. It may have even been a fallout zone prior to this attempt at global transmutation, since it was always described as being barren and desolate.
What?
A land flooded with radioactive waste would probably be pretty barren, so that checks out. So what about Teyvat? As we discussed earlier, it does seem like Teyvat has also had a nuclear meltdown or two, as illustrated by Dragonspine. But I actually think that there's evidence of transmutation on a global scale as well.
How? Global?
I present to you the hypostasis arenas.
Huh?
I know this seems weird, but they're perfectly round, often surrounded by pillars, and the arena itself has intricate carvings and knotworks all over it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit more primitive looking compared to the floors of domains in the Spiral Abyss.
Oh.
But they're similar enough to raise suspicion. In fact, the most suspicious
Wait, but that's not even circuit. Wait, it is. Oh.
thing of all is the existence of the hypostasis here, because hypostases here's an excerpt from the Adventurer's Handbook.
Okay.
Elemental hypostases are life forms which have completely abandoned their former appearance and biological structure, making them able to reach the highest level of elemental purity. They are ultra-compact structures with a high mass and are the highest forms of elemental structures, usually formed either at a location bursting with elemental energy or at a clogged ley line. Bursting with elemental energy or at a clogged ley line, huh?
Wait.
Well, I did say you need a ton of energy to create a stable transmutation, right? So that checks out. But what were these civilizations trying to transmute? What could possibly require this much effort and energy as to result in hypostases manifesting all over the world?
What?
At the very start of the game, there's a rather forgettable scene that now feels more important once viewed with new context.
Shit, you're right.
This scene is the purification of Dvalin's corrupted tears.
I forgot about
This was
this.
our first real look at the Traveler purifying raw corrupted energy, shifting it back to its purest, most stable form. Notice how shocked Venti is at this feat. With just a single touch, the Traveler did what a god could not. This may suggest that the Traveler can create stable elements. It also suggests that the Traveler's mission in Teyvat could be to purify it, or at least their purpose here, if their mission isn't predetermined. To remove the elements that pollute the land and return proper flow to the ley lines. Or maybe just stabilize them. We've seen the Traveler purify Dvalin, Ajdaha, the roots of the sacred Sakura tree, the Tatarigami, and at least half a dozen more things.
I forgot about the Sakura tree.
This is in sharp contrast to Xiao and the Yaksha, who have the role of purification as well, but can't actually purify anything. They can only suppress it and let it accumulate within their bodies. Never has the role of purification been more prevalent than it is within Inazuma, and I think we're only going to see more of that as time goes on. I wonder if this would explain the cryptic words of the Traveler's twin when they claim that once we finish our journey, we will come to the same conclusion they once did, and that their war with destiny will see no end. Destiny in this case is probably most definitely referring to the sustainer of heavenly principles, because of the Chinese translation, but anyway, she might actually be in charge of keeping Teyvat contained and stable through the management of the firmament that makes up the false sky.
I wonder if...
The twins might actually be able to clean up the fallout, while Celestia only has the goal of keeping it contained. Maybe the Tsaritsa is collecting the Gnosis because they function as some sort of codes to the nukes, so to speak.
Jesus Christ. But also, what about Durin's unpurified heart? Can we not purify that?
Although, we do have to consider the idea that Celestia's containment of Teyvat's fallout might be intentional. But
true.
we'll talk about that in part 2. That's right, this is part 1 of a 2-part video.
What?
Next, we'll be talking about what I would like to propose is Teyvat's world structure, but that entire video depends on this one. So, stay tuned for more, and in the meantime, I want to hear your thoughts. How crazy is this theory?
Very crazy.
Or do you have your own ideas about how all this plays out? Let me know in the comments below. Take care, guys.
No, I think I agree with the most part.
And the very long awaited part 2.
Oh god.
Teyvat's world structure.
See you soon, Ashikai. Oh, that was good. That one was really good. If you want a part 2 for YouTube at least, let me know down in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.